things right, or are you doing the right things? So in other words, when you get ready to do something, which one of these questions do you ask yourself? How do I do certain things? Or how do I want to accomplish certain things? Or what are the things I want to accomplish? Okay, find out which one you should be asking yourself on today's live. Good morning and welcome to Transfer Your Life in 15 Minutes. My name is McAdams and I am an author and I'm also an accounting professor and a certified life coach. I specialize in personal and small business finance and also fitness. I help people reach their goals. And how do I do that? Well, this is one way. We are working on our mind, our body, and our soul. So for the mind portion, we are reading the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And this is a book by Dr. Covey. And we've been talking about this book. And we are now going to be talking about the second habit today. Now, if this is your first time joining me, I want to welcome you. And if you've been following along, you know exactly where we are, right? Because we've already talked about the first habit, which again was be proactive. And if you did not get a chance to hear that portion of the discussion, make sure that you go to my YouTube channel. You can find all the previous discussions because we've been talking about this book for quite a bit now, for a few weeks here. And we're kind of wrapping up this week talking about the habits. So again, just search for me, McAdams, on YouTube, and you will be able to find it. Well, I'm excited about this lesson today because even though it's short and sweet, it's one of those that's very, very effective. Because in those questions that I asked or started off with asking, one of those questions are more effective than the other. Good morning, Wayne. Good to see you. Thank you for joining me. All right, so this brings us to habit number 2. Now, habit number 2 says begin with the end in mind. Okay, I'll say it again. Begin with the end in mind. So what does that mean? Well, basically, what it means is think about what it is that you want to accomplish first before you actually start to accomplish it, right? Seems kind of, like intuitive, right? But it really isn't. Because a lot of times what we do is we set a goal and then we just start working on that goal and we start doing the things and then we find out that we're not happy or we don't reach our goals and we wonder why, right? Has that ever happened to you? Now, let me give you an example. All right, suppose you decided to take a road trip. And let's say you live in California, I live in Southern California. Let's say that you want to take a trip from California to South Dakota. Okay, so this is a road trip. So, you get in your car, you make sure that the car is all, gassed up. You make sure that, everything's working, the engine, you get the oil change, the tire pressure. You start driving, you make the right turns, you pay the tolls on the road, you stop and get the gas at the appropriate time. When it's time to sleep, you stop and rest to get the adequate rest. But then you find out that you landed in Georgia, right? So remember I start off by asking, are you doing the right things? Are you doing things right? Okay. Well, one of those are one of those are going to be effective and one of them is not as effective. And this is what the begin with the end in mind is talking about. So for instance, are you doing the right things? So in that instance, you were doing the right things, right? You made sure that your car was gassed up and was in working order. You made sure that you, drove made the right turns and stopped and got gas at the appropriate times and all those. Those were the right things, right? But what was it that you failed to do? Why was it that you landed in Georgia or ended up in Georgia as opposed to South Dakota, which is your original destination? Well, the reason is because you didn't do the things right. In other words, what would have been the right course of action to get to South Dakota? The first thing would be to consult a map or to plug in the destination into your GPS. And then if you were to do those are the right things to do, then you would have been able to do the things. And do you see how this works in our life? A lot of times we set a goal and we start just working on that goal. And then we find out we don't reach that goal and we wonder why. Well, you have to start off by doing the right things. First, research that goal. What is it that you specifically, what does that entail? And then once you understand that, that's when you set your course of action. If you don't do that, you're just going to start doing things. And we tend to do that, on a daily basis. And that's the way our society kind of teaches us, is just to start doing things because we always have to be busy. We always have to be doing something. We kind of feel like we're being lazy or just, not accomplishing things, and we just don't. If we just kind of sit and think, right? It's just like I'm being lazy. I kind of feel like antsy. I got to be doing something. I got to do something. I got to go. Take the time to be quiet. Remember, my listeners know you want to have that inside out approach. Okay, you want to work on the inside. That means actually start thinking, using your brain, using that noggin. It's on your head. It's on your shoulders for a reason. Okay. All right. So to sum up this lesson, because I told you it's really short and sweet, You can actually choose in your whatever it is that you want in life. Okay, you can choose your destination, but first you have to envision it. And what does that mean? Begin with the end in mind. A clear vision. What is it that you want to accomplish first, and then start working on the things. All right, so true to form, I told you for these last 7 habits that I was going to give you a challenge. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to grab your pen and paper. I mean, if you don't already have it, I mean, where have you been? All right, because seriously, I want this to work for you. Now, believe it or not, I'm not going to like tell you do this, do that, do other, because that's what you're normally accustomed to, right? Is the doing the things. This challenge is a different one. So you ready? All right, got your pen and paper? Okay, you're driving, whatever it is you're doing. Okay, but just take note of this and listen to it. I want you to write out the current roles, or think about the current roles that you have. Okay, what is it that what is your current roles in life? Is it Wayne, is it a father, or is it a mother? Is it a provider? Whatever your roles are, list them out and really think about them. And then I want to ask yourself, are you really satisfied with this mirror image of your life? Okay, are you satisfied? And that's your challenge. Okay, I'm not asking you to do anything about it. I'm just asking you to think about it. Think about your roles that you currently have, and then ask yourself, are you satisfied with it? All right, so that's it for today. I told you it was short and sweet. Even though it was short, guys, this is a powerful one. Like all of these lessons are these lessons that we're talking about. And again, there are 7. All of these are important. I think I mentioned about it's important I mention this again. These are the habits that you don't have to actually conquer first. In other words, we talked about being proactive. So I gave you a 30-day challenge yesterday about being proactive. You don't have to wait until the 30 days are over before you begin with the end in mind. These are habits that you can actually, work on together. But it is important, like as I'm introducing them to you, I'm introducing you in a certain order. In other words, habits 1, 2, and 3 were working during the maturity continuum that we talked about. We're actually working from dependence to independence. Okay, so in other words, I'm not going to introduce you to habits number 6 or 7 before we talk about 1, 2, and 3. In other words, there is an order that they're going to be introduced in, but it's not important that you develop that habit specifically before you move on to the other one. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense to you. So habit number 1, just to recap, habit number 1, be proactive. Habit number 2, begin with the end in mind. Okay, be proactive and begin with the end in mind. Monday, we would do habit number 3. All right. So let's go ahead and move on to the yoga portion. This was so short. I don't know what to do with this extra time I have. All right. Sorry if this gets like really a little glary because I have my light on my thing. Okay, let's make sure I got everything. All right. So how's everything going for you? So this is what I'm talking about. Give me a second. I think once I turn off this one, it'll be better. So how are you doing this morning, Wayne? How's everything on this Saturday morning? You're up bright and early. If you're where are you? Are you on the East Coast or West Coast? And by the way, if you are talking to me, I really can't see because for some reason I don't see the comments until after the fact. Okay. All right. Yep. Nope. No comments. Are you still there, Wayne? Okay. All right. There we go. So now we're going to move on to the yoga. And particularly like on a Saturday morning, this is a great time. I know like for, some of you, this is the day that you you typically like to sleep in and, you're like, oh my gosh. But remember, I actually got asked a question yesterday and I'm going to tell you about it. And then you see, I got to talk. You just know it. I just have to, right? I want to tell you about it as well. So when I was talking with someone, they were talking about, my liveness. Like, well, why do you do it, 6 o'clock in the morning? It's really bright, it's really early. She's on my coast. She's on the West Coast. So she says, it's really early. So why don't you do it a little later? And so that way, more people can watch and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I said, there's actually 2 reasons why. I said, 2 reasons why I do it at 6 o'clock in the morning on the Pacific Coast time, PST time, because I'm on Pacific Coast time. So there's 2 reasons. I said, this was strategic. I don't do things just haphazardly, guys. There really is an underlying reason why I do things. The first reason why I chose this time was because it's the one time that I can be consistent. Okay, remember we talked about things, if you've been following with this book, we talk about things like integrity, humility, temperance, the character. Okay, I had to choose a time that I was going to be able to be consistent with no interruptions. Okay, so like in other words, if I was to do it at 9 o'clock, what happens if I have an appointment? If I do it at 7 o'clock, if I have an appointment at 8 o'clock or whatever, I have to factor in travel. Or in the middle of the day, it's just in the middle of the day. At night, it's at night. There's things that's going to come up. Well, this is a time that I can be consistent. It's number one. And then number two, which is probably more important than that, is that when you're doing, remember what the name of this is, transform your life in 15 minutes, right? Look at the first word, transform. When you're making transformation, that requires change. That requires making sacrifice. It's a sacrifice for me as well as you probably to get up 6 o'clock in the morning. I've mentioned that I don't have a typical 9 to 5 job, okay? I plan my day according to the way I want it to go. I'm an entrepreneur. I basically have clients that I see, but it's based upon my schedule. I have the flexibility. So with that being said, it's a sacrifice for me to get up early because I want to affect change. And if I want to affect change in my life, I have to do something different. Well, the same thing with you. If you want change in your life, then you have to change your life. That means getting outside of your comfort zone. And remember, we talked about yesterday about being proactive and being reactive. Remember, I said that the language that you use is very important because it affects your actions or reactions. So if I say, okay, get up 5 o'clock, a proactive person will say, I'll do it. Why does a proactive person say it? Because they realize underlying that people are not just telling you to do something just to do it. There's a reason why you're doing it, and it's something that's going to help you. Whereas a reactive person will say, well, I'll try. Or they'll say, oh, I'm not a morning person. All of these are reactive people. When you're being proactive, remember, these are habits of highly effective people. I want to stress, if what you're doing in life is working for you, is currently working, you're happy with the way things are going, you're happy with the amount of money you're making, you're happy with the way that your body looks, you're happy with the roles that you have in life, then by all means, continue doing what you're doing. It's working for you. But, okay, this is a big one. If it is not working for you, now it's time to elicit change. Because what is the definition of insanity? Doing the same things over and over again and expecting different results. If you want to change your life, you have to change your life. Okay, your life has to change. And that means it starts with you. That means making sacrifices. All right, so I'm off my pedal stool now. But so that's the reason why 6 o'clock in the morning, it's a sacrifice. And, it's a sacrifice that's worth it for me. And I guarantee you, if you make certain sacrifices, I'm not saying that you have to make specific sacrifices. Everything is individual. You define success the way you define success. Just like I define success the way I define it. But this is an important thing. Let me ask you this, because I asked this question last night in my accounting class. Okay, it was very important. And you're like, why are you talking about this in your accounting class? I talk about this because it's important. It's foundational. I asked them, I said, if I was to ask you right now to define success, could you really do it? Okay, and I'm asking this for you right now. Like, think about that question. If I'm asking you right now, if I ask you to define success in your terms, could you actually do it succinctly? I mean, like whatever it means, monetary terms or whatever. Not, it just means I want to be happy. What does that mean? Like, can you really define success? Believe it or not, 1 in 100 people cannot do that. Okay, seriously. Because we think about success, like we use that word, and then we look at celebrities and we have a general idea about what it means, but do we specifically know what it means to us? And that's what the begin with the end in mind means. It's like, think about exactly what it is that you want to accomplish in all terms, whether it be physically, whether it be emotionally, spiritual, financially, relationships, whatever it may be. Define what it is specifically that you want. And once you do that, then start working towards that. Because otherwise, you're just going to start doing things that's going to be mundane. You're going to be in your comfort zone. And then you're going to find out, you're going to wake up like 10 years from now, 20 years from now. You're in the same boat that you were in. Life is about growth. You're either moving forwards or you're moving backwards. There's no standing still. And I want my listeners to move forward. Okay? And so that's what I'm trying to do when we're talking about transformation. It's about change. And guys, this stuff is not easy. And I don't want you to think that I'm not doing the same thing. Okay? So in other words, I practice what I preach. So if I make a mistake, I'm going to tell you I made a mistake. Like, remember I told you guys, I did some broadcast and I was talking about Lorenzo Ball. And my son just pointed out to me, it's Lonzo Ball. And I was like, okay, let me go on live and tell people I made a mistake. Because it happens, right? But that's okay. Mistakes happen. But remember, yesterday I talked about that. That was one of your assignments. You remember that? One of your assignments was don't argue over people's weaknesses and don't argue over your weaknesses. Mistakes happen. It's just that when you make a mistake, go ahead and admit it. Okay? And that's like a little small mistakes. I mean, there's other larger mistakes that we're afraid to admit. Admit those mistakes. Okay? Admit them. And then correct them. And then move on. Learn from them and move on. It's okay. We're all human. There is no perfection out here. We're all human. We're all going through this life's journey. And it is a process. And there's things along the way. When I talked about that trip, the trip from California to South Dakota, there were signs along the way to let you know you were going wrong. You were headed to the wrong way. You end up in Georgia, remember? There were signs along the way, but you ignored those signs. A lot of times we set goals. See, I tell you, I can't help it. Okay, it's Saturday morning. I can't help it. But a lot of times we set these goals and we start working towards them. And there's signs along the way that we're on the wrong track. Our ladder is on the wrong wall, but we ignore them. We ignore these signs. You know, it could be like there's a lack of motivation. You know, let's say that your goal is to lose let's say that you even say, my goal is to lose 150 pounds. And so then you start doing the things and you know, to work toward that 150 pounds. And it's hard for you. And then you stop and you start and then this, that, and the other. And then you're just like, oh man, just forget it. I'm just going to just be happy, whatever. Just not be happy, but just do whatever. And it's because we don't take the time to really, really think, what is it that you really, really want? In other words, what is that 150 pounds going to mean to you? Is that going to mean happiness? Is that what you're really after, is happiness? Maybe that's a different wall. Because 150 pounds is on this wall, but your happiness that you want is on this wall. And your happiness is not the word happiness. It's maybe you want to be able to go out and enjoy and be able to have a lot of friends. And you want to go out and do things. You want to enter a race, whatever that may be for you. Remember, you have to define your success. You have to define your goal or your happiness. But don't think that, you know, this wall, you know, working on this wall, it equates to this wall, because it doesn't. We can be working to lose the weight, but really what we should be doing is working on this side or this particular wall. So in my example, let's say that you wanted to, you know, have more friends and be able to do things. Well, what does that have to do with losing 150 pounds? It may be nothing. So do you see how you're working towards one thing, but really you should be working towards something else? But you have to begin with the end in mind. All right, so I said I wasn't going to talk anymore. It's supposed to be like 5 minutes, right? But it is Saturday morning, and I'm feeling good. Hope you guys are too. And again, remember, it's about change, and that's why I was on. I went off on a tangent, which happens all the time. But it's about making change, okay? And changes are hard. This stuff is not easy, but guess what? Life is about the journey. It's not necessarily the destination. The destination is great too, but guess what? Once you reach that destination, now you got to look for another destination. You can't just stand still in life, guys. You're either moving forwards or you're moving backwards. You're either growing or you're not, okay? Living or dying is one or the other. And obviously there's a continuum, right? But I'm just saying, in the most part, you're not standing still. Why would you want to stand still? What does standing still mean like to you? Nothing stands still. Like, it looks like things are standing still, like you don't see what in front of me, right? But right in front of me is a flower arrangement. And to me, it seems like it's standing still. But in reality, it really is moving. We're always constantly moving. There's nothing that stands still, okay? And remember, as above, as below. So just because it appears that to us, to our visual eyes, one of our senses, that it appears to be standing still, it really isn't. And so we are either moving forwards or we're moving backwards. Choose to move forward. Choose to move in the right direction. Choose the direction first that you want to move. So that means beginning with the end in mind. Don't wake up 10 years from now, 5 years from now, and being in the same place that you are now, in the same position, okay? Because guess what? Age-wise, the age is progressing, okay? Body-wise, your body is either deteriorating or improving depending on what you're doing. And again, moving forwards and moving backwards, okay? But the choice is yours. You have the choice. And that's what I want my listeners to understand. The power is in your hands. In your hands. It's not in my hands. I'm helping to facilitate your process. And I appreciate you tagging me along or taking me along on your journey. But the journey is actually yours. I'm just here to help guide you. All right? Okay, so let's go ahead and get to the yoga portion. All right, so this morning, let's see. You know, I feel like a seated position today. No, I don't want to do seated. No, let's not do seated. But let's do a floor position. So let's go ahead and do tabletop. I was going to do seated position, but nah. Tabletop. So that's on your hands and knees. Make sure that your palms are directly underneath your shoulders and your knees are directly underneath your hips. And remember, mind, body, soul. We're moving on to the second session, which is the body. We're doing a 5-minute yoga routine. It's a practice, just like meditation. It's a practice. And by the way, let me kind of segue into the meditation, because right after yoga, I immediately go into the meditation. I don't do the little talking that I'd love to do. But anyway, so both yoga and meditation is a practice. It's about the mind-body connection. And even though I say mind, body, and soul, it's really mind, body, and soul. Okay? But because we learned and we taught that the mind and there's a body and there's a soul, understand that there's actually a connection between your mind and your body. And they're finding out now there's one, it's not two parts. Okay? It's a mind-body connection. So we actually start that from the very, very beginning. Okay? We start off with our mind, mental, with the discussion, and then now we're doing the mind body, which is yoga, and then of course the meditation as well. So with that being said, it's not about just going through the movements. It's not about exercise. It's not just about the movement. It's mainly about the mind body connection. So I constantly remind you to go internal to see how you're feeling. Okay, so even right now, like I woke up this morning feeling great. Oh, you know what? I take that back. There was something on my mind. I actually woke up for the first time in a long, long time with a headache, but that's another whole little story. But now it's gone because I was able to meditate before this broadcast and figure out what was going on with me and get rid of it. So my headache is like totally gone. So now I feel like totally great, like I normally do every single morning. Don't get me wrong, I was feeling great. I just had a headache. But anyway, so with this mind-body connection, you go internal to figure out what's going on inside of you. Like, are there any pains anywhere, any joints, any stiffness, any tightness? And again, you know, this is just an introduction, but you're going to find that the more that you go internal, you start to learn your body, you start to know what's going on. Like, for instance, I immediately knew when I woke up, because I don't ever wake up with a headache, ever. Like, it's just very, very rare. Matter of fact, it's very, very rare that I get a headache. And if I get a headache, it's generally a hunger headache. Like, I had a hunger headache yesterday because I waited too long to eat. And so that if I do that, I know I'll get a headache. Like, I just know that. I know that about myself. But for me to wake up with a headache, I literally can't recall the last time I've ever done that. Like, it's been years, like 10. I mean, I can't really remember how long it's been. So once that immediately happened, I knew something was going on with me. I knew. So I said, okay, let me meditate and figure out what it was. And I kind of knew, because I know me. I knew the general idea of the area, and I just meditated on that. And I got clarity with that. And then my headache went away. Like, seriously, that's what I do. And that's what I'm trying to share with you the same way. When you start to go internally and you start to know your body, then you can actually start curing the things that are happening to you on your own. But you have to learn yourself, and that means knowing yourself. Oh my gosh, and there was such a good discussion last night in my accounting class. And maybe I'll do a separate live, because I can go on and on. Because we literally talked. I teach financial accounting, in case you're wondering. This class was a financial accounting at the university, and we were talking about this kind of stuff because, again, this was the last class, and I always infuse this, you know, the life lessons. I'm a life coach, obviously, right? So I kind of infuse all this in my class. But last night, I just kind of got a feel of the students that they needed more of this type of guidance, if you will. And so we literally spent an hour and a half talking about these things. And some of these things are applicable because it's what I'm actually teaching you as well, but in the short pieces. But every single one of the students at the end of the class last night came up and shook my hand and said, thank you so much. Like, I really enjoyed that. Like, that's what you should be teaching. You know, you're great at financial accounting, but this is the kind of class. And I was like, I agree with you, because it's the kind of stuff that's going to help you. And again, I've been infusing the long. It's just that last night I did a real concentrated effort on this type of stuff. And it's, again, the things that I'm sharing with you, but in small pieces. Remember, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Okay, how do you transform yourself? Mind, body, and soul, 5 minutes at a time. All right, so anyway, how did I get off on that? Oh yeah, we were talking about yoga. Second tangent, right? If I'm keeping count. All right, so anyway, go internal. Just kind of get an idea of what's going on inside. Don't make any judgments about it. Just kind of notice that right now. And then as we're going through yoga, I want you to practice using your breath to clear yourself, to clear your mind, to clear your body, to clear what the pains. And again, it's a practice, guys. So be patient with yourself. It may not work for you the first few weeks, the first few months or whatever, but I promise you, if you stay with it, it really will work. Same thing with meditation. I get a lot of feedback where people say, P, I just can't, get my mind. Like, in that 5 minutes that you're doing the meditation, I might have cleared my mind, for 12 seconds. I was like, oh my God, that's great. 12 seconds is great. 3 seconds is great. A second is great. If you do it, just, in other words, focus on those little victories, because keep in mind, even for me, I've been meditating for a while now. There's some times where my practice is better than others. There's some times where there's so much going on in my mind that it's hard for me to clear it. And then there's times where I'm just like, oh man, I'm totally focused, and my meditations, I'm usually doing it twice a day for at least 30 minutes. So I've been doing it for a while, but it's a practice. So you got to be patient with yourself and don't give up just because you say it's hard. Okay, those are the things that you want to knock at. Remember, I talked about hacking at the leaves as opposed to hacking at the root. Okay, doing the leaves, something's hard. The root is hard. The root of the tree is thick. Okay, whereas you go up, it gets a little lighter, and you have the leaves. So what we try to do is we start hacking at the root, and there's like, oh, this is too hard. I'm going to work on the leaves, so we start working up here and getting rid of all this. But guess what? The root goes deeply. If you hack on that root, one swipe, one real swipe. And when I say one real swipe, obviously the swipe may take a certain time, right? But one good swipe on that root will knock it down that tree. Whereas you're going to do all the leaves and work on all this kind of stuff right here and not accomplishing much. Okay, you'll accomplish something, but is it what you really want to accomplish? So in other words, hack that root, transform yourself, go internal because you are the root, you are the tree. Okay, what's planted inside of you is inside of you for a reason. Okay, okay. So seriously, hands and knees. I'm starting. I promise. Hands and knees. All right, fingers are spread out nice and wide. Again, palms are directly underneath your shoulders and the knees are directly underneath your hips. Just kind of stay here for a couple moments as I was mentioning. Make sure that you set your intention. Okay, begin with the end in mind. Set your intentions of what it is that you want to accomplish for this next 5 minutes of the yoga practice. Go internal, see what's happening with your body. Take a nice deep breath. As you exhale, drop your chin down to your chest, round through your spine. Tuck your tailbone under. As you inhale, head and chest comes forward. Arch your back. Tailbone sticks out toward the back of the room. As you exhale, drop your chin down to your chest. Continue going through this motion, this cat-cow pose as you're using breath and you inhale. You're taking it to the cow. And as you exhale, you're going up to the cat pose. Just take your time, use your breath. Remember, it's first thing in the morning. Get a feel of your body, do what feels comfortable to you. All right, on the next exhalation, go ahead and return back to tabletop. Just kind of swing your head side to side. Chin toward the shoulders. Maybe take it up and down. Maybe do a little cat-cow here. Take the hips side to side. Remember, just do what feels comfortable to you. All right, go ahead and return back to the center. Let's go ahead and turn our toes under, and let's take it to downward facing dog. Ardha Mukha Savasana. Now go ahead and start to pedal your legs. Now right there I have the narrow stance again. My feet are directly underneath my hips. But if you need to go ahead and modify this, you can take your toes out wide. I'm using the mat, but you can actually go out wide. I'm going to the edges of the mat and do the same thing. Okay, again, remember, just do what feels comfortable to you. I like to remind you of the body positioning in a downward facing dog. Your fingers and your toes are spread out nice and wide. Palms directly underneath your shoulders, and generally your knee or your feet are directly underneath your hips unless you have a modified stance. Your head is in line with your bicep, and you're pressing your chest toward your thighs and your knees. And as we're pedaling our legs, we're trying to get the heels down toward the mat. You may have some tension or stress on those hamstrings or inflexibility, and that's okay. Again, move your way through it. And over time, as you increase your flexibility, you will get those heels down. Okay? But again, just be patient with yourself, particularly if you're warming up. Matter of fact, let's do a couple warm up here. Let's come up on our fingertips and walk our fingertips back to our toes. All right, inhale, take it all the way up. And exhale, dive the body forward. Inhale, look up halfway. You're going to flatten out your back. Tailbone sticks out toward the back of the room. Micro knees, micro bend on those knees. Exhale, forward fold. Let's inchworm out to the plank. And then take it back. Fingertips toward the toes. Inhale, take it all the way up. Exhale, dive the body forward. Inhale, look up halfway. Relax those shoulders down away from your ears. Exhale, forward fold. As you continue, exhale, inchworm out to the plank. Take a deep breath. Exhale, return back. Inhale, take it all the way up. Go ahead and arch back for me. Exhale, dive the body forward. Look up halfway. Tailbone sticks out towards the back of the room. Forward fold, Uttanasana. Inchworm to the plank. Breath in. Exhale. Let's go a little faster here. Inhale up. Exhale. Halfway. Uttanasana. Inchworm. Exhale. Inhale. Arch back. Exhale. Halfway. Whole Uttanasana. Stay here for a couple breaths. Relax the shoulders. Let the crown of your head pull your body weight naturally forward. Micro knees if you need to. Micro bend on those knees. Tailbone sticks out toward the back of the room. As you inhale, just kind of hold your position. As you exhale, surrender, release. Forward fold a little deeper, hinging from the hips. Now let's go ahead and inchworm out to the plank. Hold plank for a couple breaths. Okay. Make sure your body weight is towards your heels. Belly button in, push towards your spine. Fingers spread out nice and wide. Elbows are facing toward the back of the room. Don't blow the elbows out. Same thing with a chaturanga. Don't try to do a push-up when you bring those elbows out. The elbows go back. From here, release your knee, chest, chin, or chaturanga dandasana. So again, elbows go straight toward the back of the room. You don't go all the way down unless you have to. Inhale, upward facing dog. Relax those shoulders. Curl the toes under. Exhale the downward facing dog. Start the pedal. All right, let's come up on the top of our toes. Roll down to the balls of your feet all the way down toward the heels. Try to press them down toward the mat. Do that again. One more time. This time as you come up on the toes, go ahead and lean over toward the left and bend that left knee. Return back to the center. Release it down. Let's go ahead and walk our fingertips back. Halfway up. And forward fold. Inhale, take it all the way up. Arch back. Dive the body forward. Look up halfway. Forward fold, Uttanasana. Inchworm to the plank. Hold the plank, couple breaths. Take your time. If you need to, bring your knees down. You can always modify. Release your knee, chest, chin, or chaturanga dandasana. Inhale. and exhale. Go ahead and pedal. Come up on the top of your toes and roll down to the balls of your feet, all the way down toward the heels. Let's do that again. And one more time. This time we're going to lean over to the right as you bend the right knee. And return back and release down. Inhale to plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale and hold. Now remember, downward facing dog is a resting position, so we're typically resting in this position. You can always modify. I gave you the wide-legged stance, but you can drop your knees down, take it to tabletop, or go to child's pose. Let's go ahead and walk our feet in towards your palms. Forward fold here, Uttanasana. Now this time let's take our hands and clasp the outer part of our elbows. Kind of swing side to side, just kind of rock your body. Again, let the crown of your head pull your body weight naturally forward. Return back to center, slowly release the fingertips down toward the mat, and then take it up one vertebrae at a time. Kind of take your time, making sure that your head is the last to rise. All right, go ahead and face forward. Let's do a balancing pose here. I hope you can actually see. You won't be able to see all of me, but I'm going to do, we're going to do Vipassana, the tree pose. And on this position right here, you won't be able to see my hands because they're going to be out of the screen. But that's okay, I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to start off first with, I'll mirror you, so let's go with the left leg first. Okay, this here is level 1. Okay, right here, toes are just down, heels are pointed up toward the shin. Level 2, you bring it here. Okay, and then level 3, it's up here. Oops, I find that balance. Oh, speaking of which, this is a balancing pose. So I always like to remind you that when you're doing a balancing pose, what you want to do is you want to find the focal point. So either it be on the floor or straight ahead. Generally speaking, it's going to be down at an angle. So if you're looking at the floor, find like one spot on that floor and just focus on that spot. You don't need to look at me at the screen. I promise you, I'll direct you to this pose. So just find the spot and then just open, listen with your eyes. Listen with your ears, not with your eyes. Find the spot on the floor and just continue to focus on that spot. Okay, so find your position, 1, 2, or 3. On this side I'll do 3, and then the next side I'll modify it. Hands are down by the side. Okay, as we inhale, you're going to take the arms all the way up. Greet the palms together. Okay, I'm going to hold here. If you need to, bring the hands at heart center, and you can modify the tree pose to stay here. Okay, again, all you're doing is you're breathing, you're balancing, you're breathing. Oops, lost mine. Okay, you're breathing and you're focusing on your spot. I'm getting shaky. Let me go to 2. All right, there we go. And then relax. Relax your shoulders. Stay grounded and breathe. All right, go ahead and release and shake it out. Okay. Now, again, it's not uncommon for you to have more balance or more flexibility from one side versus the other, so be patient with yourself on either side. All right, so again, we're going to start off with the opposite leg. So this is going to be the right leg for you. So start off with either level 1, level 2, or level 3. Let me go level 1 on this side. Okay? So again, find your focal point. Your right foot or your left foot is planted strongly into the ground, like a tree, the roots going all the way down. Arms down by your side. Take a nice deep breath. Extend those arms up. And again, feel free to stay here, or you can bring your palms together at heart center. Okay? On Virasana, in this pose here, your hips, your knees, make sure they're pointing straight out toward the side. Okay? So pretend like there is a plane, a glass plane, two of them. One in front of you, and one is behind you. Remember, just listen. Two glass planes, one in front of you, directly in front of you, like you're leaning up to the mirror, like you're like straight up against the mirror. And then one is behind you. So you want to make sure that your knees are pointing directly out to the side. You're opening up your hip, as opposed to bring your knee forward, because you can't, because that glass plane is right in front of you. Okay? So that's the body position that you want to be in. And you're breathing. All right, go ahead and release. Shake it out. Let's turn back to Tadasana. Let's do one more rotation. Spread out your feet, either together or slightly apart. Shoulders are down and back, head is back, extension of the spine, fingertips down by the side. Draw your breath in, arms go overhead. As you exhale, dive the body forward. Look up halfway. Flatten out the palms, step back right, left to the plank. Knee, chest, chin, or chaturanga dandasana. Inhale to upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Walk your feet in toward the palms. Uttanasana. Inhale, take it all the way up. Exhale, dive the body forward. Place your palms flat. Walk your feet out toward the angle on the mat. Exhale, drop the tailbone down toward the mat. Using your elbows to push out on those inner thighs, bring the palms together, Malasana, at heart center, and then bow your head. Go ahead and give a little gratitude here. Maybe set the intentions for your next meditation. Release the palms down and then slowly transition yourself into a comfortable seated position, facing forward. Again, making sure that you're on your sits bones and off the fleshy part of your bottom. Shoulders are down and back. Head is a natural extension to the spine, and your fingertips are out to the side. Take a nice deep breath. Take the arms up overhead. And as you exhale, release the fingertips down toward the mat. Again, draw the breath in, inhaling, and exhaling. One more time, nice deep breath, inhaling. This time we're going to greet the palms together at the very top. Let's draw our shoulders up, down, and back, away from our back, and exhale down through the center, and namaste. Alright, so this brings us to our meditation. So I want you to get comfortable in a nice seated position. If you need to make adjustments, go ahead and do that now. If you're just joining us for this meditation, get comfortable in a nice seated position or in a chair. If you choose to sit in a chair, make sure that your shoes are off and that your feet are planted firmly against the floor. You're sitting up nice and tall. You're not lounging on the chair. Sitting up nice and tall. You're on the edge of the chair. Place your hands in your laps. Whatever feels comfortable to you. If you're seated in the cross-legged position, you may want to take some type of yoga pose. You can slightly touch your thumb and your index finger. Another pose is where you can actually bring your thumbs together and just kind of rest your palm, one hand in front of the other. Okay? Just whatever feels comfortable to you. Just get comfortable. And we're going to relax the body. I want you to take a nice deep breath. And as you exhale, just drop your chin down toward your chest and close your eyes. Now as you inhale, your head and chest is going to come up. Forehead goes up toward the sky. And as you exhale, release your chin down toward your chest and bow your head down. Again, as you inhale, forehead goes up toward the sky. And as you exhale, drop your chin down toward the chest. One more time, nice deep breath, inhaling. This time as you exhale, bring your head forward so it's a natural extension of the spine. Keep your eyes closed and continue to breathe. Again, just go internal, just kind of get a feel of what's going on. All these thoughts may be coming around in your brain. Just gently push them aside and just focus on your breath. Nice deep ujjayi breathing. Inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. Inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. Now I want to draw your attention to your feet. Go ahead and squinch up your toes real tight. And then slowly release them. And wiggle your toes. Release all the tension and stress out of your feet. Now draw your attention to your ankles. Release. Calf muscles. Release. Your kneecaps. Now relax your thigh muscles. Move up to your buttocks. And your pelvic area. Again, if there's any thoughts that are lingering around or coming into your mind, just gently push them aside. Don't make any judgments. Just focus on your breath. Inhaling deeply through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. On that next breath in, focus on your back. Any tension and stress that you may be carrying, and then release. Now, I want you to hunch up your shoulders, bring them all the way up to your ears, squeeze them real tight, and then release. Straighten all the tension and stress that you may be carrying on those shoulders. Now draw your attention to your neck and your jaw. Relax. Now relax the muscles in your face. And relax the muscles in your forehead. Remember, stay patient with those thoughts. Just let them go by. Just focus on your breath. Inhaling deeply through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. Go ahead and revisit those shoulders one more time. Hunch them up. And then release and relax any remaining tension that you may be carrying in your body. You're doing good. And just focus on your breath. Inhaling deeply through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. Now take a nice deep breath, inhaling through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Again, deep breath, inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. One more time, nice deep breath, inhaling through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Now go ahead and open up your eyes as you release, relax, return, refresh, and calm. You've done something good for yourself today. I want to thank you for taking the time to meditate with me, and especially thank you for taking your time out of your morning, getting up early if you did, to watch this live broadcast of Transform Your Life in 15 minutes. Your word for today is playful. I want you to have a playful day today. It's Saturday. Go out and enjoy yourself, okay? But remember, one of the things I did want to mention before, because I kind of forgot, before the yoga session, and you notice that we usually start off, and I tell you to start off with the deep breaths, and I'm telling you to set an intention, okay? That's beginning with the end in mind. You're not just going through the motions. You're setting intention for your yoga stress, your yoga practice, okay? Same thing for the meditation. So when I'm giving you a word for the day, the recommendation here is set an intention, okay? So the intention that I'm suggesting is have a playful day. So when I give you the word of the day, it's something to set your intention on, okay? You don't have to use my word of the day. You can come up with your own. Mine is just a suggestion. But it's to put a seed in your mind, okay? A seed to grow into thoughts, okay? Into a plant, to flourish, of setting intentions so that you will have an intentful day. All right, so for today, have a playful Saturday, and I will see you on Monday.